Have you guys ever heard about something called a game design document? Because until this year and doing game design, I had never heard of that in my life. For all my knowledge with video games, for everything that I had ever done regarding video games, this was a term that had never popped up for me until I came to Academy of Digital Arts. This is also, by the way, another video about what I am actually doing at college. And on top of that, I'm gonna be working with them in unison. I feel like working is the wrong word. Helping? No, I don't know the word. But anyways, basically they'll tag this video and use it on their main pages as well. And yeah, that's basically around about it. Hopefully I'll be trying to help them make a couple of TikToks in the future as well. Could be anything, could be tutorials, could be anything that potentially you guys might like. All I have to say is at the moment, Academy of Digital Arts has been absolutely incredible. I've enjoyed everything about the course that I'm doing at the moment, which is video game design specifically, but they also do web design, graphic design, concept art, really anything creative regarding those mediums that you would want to have in a college. They've got it. They are based in Cape Town, also known as Friends of Design. Topic at hand. What did I learn before I went on break? Because I went on break recently. What is a game design document? Okay. To put it simply, a game design document is something that is there to help structure the overall flow process when it comes to making a video game. And it's kind of weird because it's something that you never think would be linked with creating a video game because it sounds really businessy, but in the end of the day, like a lot of things creative wise, making video games is a business, and therefore you need to have, or at least you should have, by a way, a game design document or something along those lines to help really iron out your processes when creating a video game. And we were put through the test of actually making ones ourselves, and that's kind of what I've got on screen over here. We're put into groups and we were to make a game design document for a board game that we were instructed to make. The theme was post-apocalyptic, didn't have to be zombies or anything like that, but my group, we decided to do a zombie card game, which is also digital now as well. Not quite ironed out all of the like coding and stuff, kind of just because like, you know, time constraints, and the main focus was on the game design document. But I'll link that also in the description below, and if anybody wants to play it or wants to learn how to play it, give me a shout in the comments. It takes like 3 players, and yeah, anybody can really play it. You can like screw around with it as well in like a sandbox mode if you'd like to as well. But within a game design document, there's a variety of different things that kind of need to be included, and the first thing that we decided to include was just the turn order and structure. How do you play the game? And in a lot of game design documents, you're also going to find storyboards, and storyboards, what they are basically like, you know, when you see how something works within a certain variety of panels. This is just the gameplay loop. Start the game, you know, there's a drawing phase, as I've explained there. The next thing I've circled where you got to draw the cards to, you know, from the piles. The next thing that happens is your playing phase, and once again, like a storyboard, it illustrates exactly what needs to take place with the processes explained below. And I know I'm saying I a lot in this was a group project, so we, like group and I, we did all of this all together, and we basically created this game. And it just goes along explaining what needs to happen. There's tokens for a representation of health and a variety of different things that need to be done in the top right hand corner, and calculations that need to take place and whatever. Then we get to the game design pyramid, which, funnily enough, I couldn't really find a professional version of a game design pyramid for any game, and I don't know why that was. I really looked at it. It just, there's game design pyramids, or like what a game design pyramid potentially is, or whatever the case is, but like I actually searched for the Witcher 3 game design pyramid. I couldn't find it. They just gave me a bunch of characters and stuff, which I found really kind of strange, because I thought that was one thing that, you know, once the game gets launched, you'd be able to see what that is, and that's kind of disappointing. So basically what a game design pyramid, and I hope that, you know, to God, we did a decent enough job at actually displaying what it is, because we haven't quite gotten the marks back for this. So it could be terribly wrong. But basically what your game design pyramid is at the top, it's your core gameplay experience, and not theme or genre. It's the feel. Like what feel did your game give off? And ours gave off a tactical resource management feel. You know, a little bit of like a strategy game that you know, play on PC or something like that. That was the feel of our game. A lot of other guys had really tense, you know, player-based games, which were pretty cool. And basically, the next thing that you have below that core gameplay experience is your pillars. And the pillars of your game is everything that your game needs to run. You know, that's about it, actually. There's not anything more to that. It's just what your game needs to run. So if you could take Mario, for example, all you need for Mario to run is the game character itself, so Mario. You'd need the movement of Mario, and then some obstacles in the way. Your game works. Like, it's literally just the most plain, dumbed out version of your game possible, and what those pillars are. So movement, game character, obstacles, for Mario anyways. The last thing you'd have is all the features that your game would have. So for Mario, that would be the assets, the textures, the, you know, the mushroom, the attack system, I guess, because there is one from what I remember. Don't get me wrong, it's been a while since I played Mario, so I could be wrong on that. But it's just everything that adds features to your game, basically, that makes your main gameplay loop just feel a lot more polished, a lot more exciting. And yeah, we've also got that down in the basically in the bottom here. So right over here is our main gameplay experience and feel. This is everything we need to make our game work. And then right down at the bottom here is all the features we'd have, which is kind of weird because I think we had a lot more features. But then the next thing we had was our cards, what they did, the actual structure of them, and the unit cards, the special cards, what they did, what they meant. We had leader cards. It's kind of weird. I know we had like world leaders and stuff. People laughed at that. The next thing we had is just the broken down version of all of our cards, all of the categories they fall under, and then the card effects and stats, you know, just a more explanatory version of what happened above that. We had the loop for the card attack system over here and what would happen. We tended to find that a lot of stuff in game design documents tend to deal with flowcharts. Then we went into a graveyard system and the loop for that. Had the storyboards for all of those as well. For the card attack system, had the storyboard for what would take place with the graveyard system, as I've illustrated. We have illustrated over here. It was a team project. I'm sorry. Sorry to my friends. I'm really sorry. The health-based system, the little illustration for what would happen over here with the game mat kind of included. A spawn system. Basically, we had to go through all the systems that it would take for the game to run and show an illustration of how that works with the flowchart. And then we had prototypes. Prototyping is a big thing. Although we only have like a few pictures here and the link, prototyping is huge. I mean, this is what our game originally looked like. This was the first version of our game that we tore pieces of paper off and we just wrote down what they were, the stats, and we only had like a very few amount of cards. The second prototype is this over here, which was just like a printed out version. We got some character pictures, wrote down the stats, made it just look a little more refined. We had our system for calculating the wave, and we used Google Randomizer for that, and the game mats. And then we had basically our final finished prototype, in which we used money as the tokens to represent the health, because to be fair, our game took a lot of calculations and stuff like that, and that's basically what we used as like a representation of attack and health and things like that, and what our game board looked like with the piles and the drawing system. And then we digitalized it as well, which is what we have over here. And again, if you want to go check that out, I'll drop that link into the description below. You guys are more than welcome to go play it. We had our questions. We had to question the players on all the prototypes. So we had prototype 1, day 1 questions that people wanted, you know, that we asked them. When it comes to prototyping, you obviously get people to come in and test your game. So through the prototype testing, somebody needs to watch what your game testers are doing, and basically within that process, you are not allowed to tell them how to play the game. You can give them a tutorial in the beginning, like 5 minutes. This is how you play the game. But after that, if they have questions, they have to figure it out themselves. They play through the game, they play it how they think it should be played if they don't know how to play it through the tutorial. And from that point onwards, you just observe them, write down their body language, how they are reacting to the game. And the same is true, or should be true at least, for any other game, you know, in the world. That is basically how it works. And you work through it. And as you improve your prototypes and your game, you sit people down, explain the game to them. Sometimes you get the same people back in, and again, you ask them questions. And I found that it was really interesting. You really get some interesting responses to your game, especially if it's confusing. And I was confusing in the beginning. It had a bit of a learning curve to it. Beyond that, that was really it. And that was our game design document in the end of the day. It had included prototypes, the questions. I know you can't like really see the questions and the writing down that well, but this was more just to kind of outline what goes into a game design document. And this is like 30 pages long. I can only imagine that the professional games must be hundreds and hundreds of pages. At least the good ones, the ones that are designed properly. That's not everything that goes into a game design document. That's not everything that I could cover. At the same time, I kind of don't want to give too much away from Friends of Design, because they're the ones actually providing the course, you know, that you pay for. And I'm not going to just sit here and tell you guys what my lecturer told me for like free. But that's a part of it. And I think if you are really into it, if you really enjoy game design and doing this sort of a thing, then you should 100% go for it. This is a great experience, and it'll really teach you a lot about video games that you never knew before. But beyond that, guys, if you really enjoyed what you saw, really enjoyed this kind of a thing, drop a comment below, let me know what you guys think, give me a shout. Yeah, any other questions, I'll try my best to answer them respectfully. And yeah, Vic 341.